Hello, my dear HSPs. It is so great to be with you. I have a topic that I really want to talk to you about that comes up all the time with my highly sensitive clients, and that is highly sensitive people and anger. This is a must in therapy. We have to talk about anger. It's one of the first things I address with my HSP clients because as HSPs, we often stuff our anger down. I call it anger turned inward. And anger turned inward it can be very dangerous for us in many ways: physical health, emotional health, mental health. Um, so I just want to begin by, reminding all of you that we are a minority. So 15 to 20% of the population are highly sensitive people. So that leaves 80 to 85% of the population being not highly sensitive. So the non-HSPs, as I'll call them, tend to be externalizers when it comes to anger. And externalizers, when they get angry, they just let it out. They vomit it all over other people or the dog or whatever, and they scream and yell. They might punch something. They might be a bit aggressive, but they let the energy, it's a very big energy, anger. They let it up and out, and then they're done. And it's released, and they don't carry it within them. Us as HSPs, we do something very, very different. We internalize. So we're internalizers of our feelings, especially the feelings that we are uncomfortable sharing with others, that we don't know what to do with. So when it comes to anger, we as HSPs shove it down. We keep it inside. And that is a byproduct of the fact that we value peace and love over everything else. We'd never want to hurt anybody else. So we don't project that outwardly because we don't want to hurt anybody. But unfortunately, it has a boomerang effect, and that repressed anger ends up hurting us. And the way that presents in my practice as a therapist is often in the form of problematic relationships with food and body image, food addiction, very, very common, other addictions, and anxiety and depression. That seems to turn up with pretty much all of my HSP clients, anxiety and depression. And Gabor Mate wrote a wonderful book. He's written several wonderful books, but The Myth of Normal is a newer one that I love. And in it, he talks about depression. And it's from a Latin word, as most English words are, which means to depress. So he gives the analogy of having a blow-up beach ball. And imagine being in a body of water. You're standing in a body of water. You've got this blow-up beach ball. It's blown up. And you have to shove it down underneath the water and keep it there. That's what depression is. It takes a lot of energy to shove that energy downwards and keep it down. And eventually that energy has to go somewhere. So it manifests in a whole lot of problematic ways, especially anxiety and depression. It just bubbles up. So that, we don't want to be there. And I'm sure many of you watching this or listening to this have experienced that yourself. So it turns into self-harm. It really does. And I don't want us HSPs to harm ourselves. May we stop doing that. That is my plea to all HSPs out there. Please stop harming yourself and be good to yourself. Practice self-compassion. I have another talk about self-compassion that you can watch or listen to. But I also want to say that I personally have carried a lot of repressed rage and anger for many, many years. I thought I had dealt with all of this stuff, but apparently not. I still had some major anxiety and depression in recent years, and I needed to go back to therapy. But this time, I went back to a therapist who does Somatic Experiencing by the wonderful Peter Levine. He came up with this probably 40 years ago. Unbelievable. Somatic Experiencing. I highly recommend it if you can find someone who does that type of work. And what it is it's bottom-up therapy. So most therapies are top-down, so they're intellectual, they're in the head, they're talking and focusing on words and thoughts. And what that does is it keeps us stuck in our heads. And what I've found is HSPs, we have our superpowers are in our five senses. Our five senses are so on high alert and so turned on that we can use them as a superpower. So somatic experiencing is a bottom-up therapy that is somatic in nature, perfect for HSPs. And it's just incredible. I've let go of so much anger that I had stuffed down recently, and I just feel like a different person. It's like a huge weight has been lifted. Incredibly powerful, incredibly healing, and I'm so grateful for somatic experiencing. There's other types of therapies that are very good for this as well. But you want the word somatic in it if you're going to be looking for that type of therapy. So now I want to introduce to you this wonderful tool which my therapist uses with me. And this is great for anger. This is called a Theraband Flex Bar. Oops. Okay, maybe you can see it there. It was just under $35 Canadian on Amazon. Best investment I have ever made. This is so incredibly helpful that I don't keep it in my office. I do during the day, but at night and on weekends, I often take it upstairs to the rest of the house so that my husband and I can use it when we feel some anger, which we're learning can be quite often, whether it's present day or past anger. So very straightforward. Basically, the idea behind it is that emotions get stored in the body, and we want to get them up and out of the body. Because when they're stored in the body, that can really dampen our basic life force, our joie de vivre, what makes us get up and go in the morning. And it can really quelch all of that and lead to depressive symptoms, to anxiety symptoms. So we want to get that anger up and out. And the thing that I love about the Theraband is there's no boomerang effect. Back in the days of old, when I started being a therapist, there was a lot of sort of primal therapy, screaming into pillows when you're angry, taking a foam bat and bashing your furniture around, throwing sweaters all over the room, screaming and yelling in general, just not doing it directly to someone. The problem with those types of expressions that I have put together over the years for my HSP clients is they can really boomerang on people like us. We're so sensitive that if we get all of that anger, if we express that quite vividly, it actually has a bit of a traumatizing effect on our system, our nervous system, and that we're kind of reverberating afterwards, and it can actually lead to anxiety and doesn't keep us emotionally regulated, doesn't keep our nervous system regulated in a way that is helpful to us. So we want to be in the parasympathetic state as much as we can. That's the autonomic nervous system. We want it to be in the sympathetic state, not the sympathetic state, which is fight, flee, or freeze. Okay, so this is how you use it. You just think of the thing that's making you really angry, and you just bend it. Oh, I wish I could share how satisfying this is. This is very difficult to do. Okay, so just put all that energy into this Theraband, and then let it go. And just feel the relief. You really have to try this to get the sense of how wonderful it is. It's so relieving. It releases so much tension. Just after doing that, I guess I had nerves doing this little video. I just feel my belly has relaxed. It's gotten soft. My shoulders have come down. I'm breathing deeper. It's really wonderful stuff. The other way that is wonderful to use it is if you're thinking about somebody that you're really angry at, you just think of twisting their neck. Now I know that sounds kind of violent, so you don't have to think about doing that. You just twist this. Just twist, twist, twist. It feels amazing. Now you can use a hand towel for this and twist. It is not as satisfying as this. Trust me, I've tried. You can also use some kind of cushion and just squeeze the cushion, in the corners. Still tried it, not as satisfying. Really, do yourself a favor, run out and buy one of these Therabands. It is so wonderful, and believe me, it is worth the price. You will get your money's worth and more if you have as much suppressed anger as most of us HSPs do. So we'll end on a funny note, and I hope that helps you. I would love to hear about your experiences being an HSP and how you've handled anger, both unsuccessfully and successfully. Share that with my audience. I think they'd love to learn that. And also, if you do get one of these Therabands and you have some success, please let me know, and we can have it in the comments.